From its faithfulness to the Warhammer 40k universe, to the sense of scale that feels both massive and immersive, I genuinely believe that Space Marine 2 is the game I've been waiting for my entire life. I believe this game is a benchmark for what modern gaming devs should aspire to create, delivering the depth, immersion, and respect to its source material that so many developers now seem to have forgotten. Do any of you remember the game Star Wars Republic Commando? This game, for me, was a dream. What a nearly perfect adaptation to the Star Wars universe. This game didn't only have a good storyline that honored the IP, it also added a whole new element of grit to it. It felt incredible. You quickly fell in love with the characters, and boy did you wish for a sequel when you finished it.
All Republic forces, establish forward command in Kajiro.
Is that really who I think it is?
Now, look what they've done to Star Wars. Obviously not only through the games, but the movies and the series.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
How on earth is this not satire? It's just sad that they would betray their enormous existing fan base just to try and gain a modern audience they assumed would be more valuable. How many other franchises have we seen squandered and diluted by writers, producers, or even DEI initiatives?
Now, go. Leave this place and never return.
It was about coming together as a family.
The developers of Space Marine 2, Saber Interactive, have taken what is personally my favorite universe and have brought it to life in ways I thought I would only ever imagine. From the lore-accurate character design of the Ultramarines, to the grim zeal of the Adeptus Mechanicus, even to the little details, like the disturbing cherubs flying around, this game is not washed down or diluted at all. In a lore where the phrase "too dark" is its basic description, I am pleased that they didn't hold back and stayed true to the tone of the franchise. Space Marine 2 clearly respects the lore and fans in a way that so many other games, movies, or series fail to do, and that's a huge part of why it stands out in modern gaming. When I talk about scale, I don't mean the overwhelming bloat of side quests or endless activities that games like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry throw at you. Even Red Dead Redemption 2, which is one of my favorite games, sometimes left me feeling a bit paralyzed by the sheer number of things to do. On way too many occasions, I would launch the game, open the map, see all the mission icons scattered everywhere, and feel so overwhelmed that I'd end up Alt F4ing out of the game and switch to something simpler, like, for me, Dota 2 or Halls of Torment. Anything that can give me a quick hit of satisfaction before I had to go on to my other daily commitments. But Space Marine 2, this game, for me, absolutely nails the sense of scale. It's not about padding the world with endless objectives or even repetitive fetch quests. Those quests that send you from point A to point B only to send you back to point A so you can go to point C. Those obvious time gates that drain all the fun. Instead, it focuses on building a battlefield and a world that feels truly colossal and alive. Every inch of the world pulses with energy, mystery, and purpose, making you feel like you're part of an epic war rather than running errands in a lifeless sandbox. It reminds me of a thought or even a dream that I had as a kid. I remember playing huge-scale RTS games like Medieval 2 Total War. I'd often zoom in on those massive battles, and I would wish that I could step in the shoes of one of those little units fighting on the front lines. I got a small taste of that in games like Rise and Fall Civilization at War, but it never quite captured the scale of a Total War game. I always had this lingering thought of why can't they make an RPG or even an FPS with that kind of epic scale that you see on RTS games, or even those cinematic trailers we used to watch. I'd play awesome games like Supreme Commander or StarCraft, which just gave me an itch to play as one of the smaller units in the game. I remember even watching trailers of massive MMOs, seeing vast armies clashing in breathtaking battles, only to feel let down by the actual gameplay. Although back then it wasn't all that frustrating, I feel like we all had this unspoken understanding that part of the experience relied on our imagination, not just what was shown on the screen. Now for me, Space Marine is the first game to finally scratch this itch. For the first time, the background battles don't just feel like an afterthought or a decorative backdrop. For me, they feel alive. The whole world feels like it's at war, and it sucked me in so quickly. I do understand that many of those armies clashing in the distance are just set dressing, but in Space Marine 2 they blend so seamlessly with the real gameplay, creating the illusion of a war-torn world that's as immersive as any cinematics I've seen, or even the RTS games I used to play. It feels like you're part of something much larger, something epic, without ever overwhelming you with pointless bloat. In an age where games are often overloaded with content at the expense of focus and sometimes even fun, Space Marine 2 manages to deliver both. It's a rare achievement and one that makes this game not only stand out for Warhammer fans, but it is a beacon for modern gaming as a whole. Now, I want to talk about a word that describes a few too many modern games nowadays: bloat. Bloat in games refers to the excessive or unnecessary content that can overwhelm players and dilute the core experience. When a game is bloated, it often features an abundance of side quests, mechanics, or features that fail to add meaningful depth. This clutter can make the game feel unfocused, dragging out gameplay and diminishing overall enjoyment. Instead of enhancing immersion, bloat can often frustrate players as they sift through an overload of content to find the truly engaging elements. Ultimately, it risks overshadowing the main story or mechanics that matter most, hindering the player's connection to the game. It's important to note that not all massive games with vast amounts of content are considered bloated. Some manage to integrate their content seamlessly. However, many do suffer from bloat, leading to a disjointed experience. In fairness, I also believe that bloat is what gives certain games their unique identity, creating a distinct atmosphere or sense of immense exploration that resonates with players, even if it comes at the cost of consistent fun. Now, I know this is going to sound awful for a lot of you, but as a casual gamer, I still haven't even finished Red Dead Redemption 2. Since its release, I have wanted to savor and enjoy every moment of the game, which has annoyingly robbed me from even finishing it. This is totally a me problem though, but I don't think I'm alone in this. It is a seriously good game and it still holds up strong even after 6 years.
Have you ever robbed a stagecoach?
No, never.
Space Marine 2 is proof that if you have a streamlined, focused, linear title that isn't filled with bloat, but is focused on fun, you could make a masterpiece. One of the most important aspects of Space Marine 2 is how it constantly answers my long-standing question of what if whenever I play a game. It's not easy for me to explain this, so do stick with me here. So many games today leave me endlessly wondering the question, what if, as I play through them, hoping for deeper layers that never come. Take Starfield for example. It took me around 90 hours to realize I hated this game. Throughout my playthrough, I kept asking myself these what if questions, thinking there was more substance beneath the surface. I'd ask myself questions like, what if these items I'm collecting actually matter later? Or what if this planet holds something more significant? What if leveling up this perk opens a new pathway? What if the Unity or the temples have more meaning? What if I actually fall in love with some of these characters? In almost everything I did in this game, I wondered, what if? But in the end, after all that time and effort, I realized it was all an illusion. There was no depth, no payoff to those questions. I had wasted 90 hours chasing after something that simply wasn't there. I felt, and to be honest, I still feel scammed out of my time and money. In contrast, Space Marine 2 immediately answered every what-if question I had, and it did so in the most satisfying ways. I went into this game completely blind, which is how I prefer to approach new titles, and every time I asked myself this question, the game delivered. Questions like, what if the scale of the world was lore accurate? Or, what if you don't only fight Tyranids? What if I end up fighting a demon? What if I shoot at the Xenos in the distance? Oh man, what if this campaign has a co-op? Every what if question that came up was almost always immediately answered. At one point I even thought, what if I get to see a Titan? Needless to say, I was satisfied with every answer. Space Marine 2 goes above and beyond to answer the kinds of questions that players naturally ask when they're deeply engaged with the game that they are playing. It doesn't just hint at possibilities or leave you hanging, it delivers in a way that keeps you excited and immersed. It's the polar opposite of the hollow experiences I've had with so many modern titles, and that's what makes it stand out as a masterpiece.
Be mindful of not just its size, but its weapons, brothers.
Another reason Space Marine 2 stands out in the crowded gaming landscape is its commitment to character development. The way the Ultramarines are portrayed is particularly noteworthy. They embody the values of honor, loyalty, and sacrifice as true Ultramarines, making players genuinely care about their fate. This connection is further reinforced through well-crafted dialogue and meaningful interactions with NPCs. Unlike many modern titles that seem to prioritize flashy visuals over substance, Space Marine 2 takes its time to develop its characters, allowing you to become emotionally invested in their struggles and triumphs. Moreover, the game doesn't shy away from exploring the darker aspects of the Warhammer 40k universe. It captures the grim reality of war, portraying the toll it takes on the warriors involved. This adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, reminding players that every victory comes with a cost. In the gaming world that often glosses over character depth, Space Marine 2 stands as a refreshing reminder of the power of storytelling and the importance of relatable characters.
Forgive me, brother, that it took me so long to bring you home.
My lord, that is...
Fierce was my wrath when I learned of your detention. In their arrogant suspicion, the Inquisition failed to recognize the truth. That no evil will ever overcome a devotion such as yours.
Thank you, my lord.
In today's gaming industry, I believe the relationship between developers and the community has never been more critical. It's refreshing to see that the developers of Space Marine 2 actively engages with its player base, listening to feedback and incorporating it into the game's design. This collaborative approach not only builds trust with the rights community, but also ensures that the final product resonates with players. Saber Interactive has clearly taken this commitment to heart, embracing community input to refine gameplay mechanics and enhance the overall experience. This is evident in the way they've approached balancing issues, weapon tuning, and even level design. By prioritizing player feedback, they've created a game that feels polished and thoughtfully crafted, rather than a rushed product designed solely for profit. It's so sad to see how many developers out there are disconnected from their player base. But Saber Interactive stands as a beacon of hope, proving that when developers listen to their community, everyone benefits. This dedication to engagement not only enhances the game, but also elevates it to a position of importance within the broader gaming landscape. Finally, let's take a moment to appreciate the artistry behind Space Marine 2. What sets Space Marine 2 apart is its ability to blend visual spectacle with thematic depth. The game's art direction captures the essence of the Warhammer 40k universe so well, creating environments that feel both lived in and immersive. The attention to detail is evident, from the weathered armor of the Ultramarines to the hauntingly beautiful landscapes that serve as the backdrop for your battles. In a time when many games prioritize graphical fidelity over artistic vision, Space Marine 2 strikes a perfect balance, reminding us that gaming is an art form. It's a celebration of creativity and passion, proving that when developers pour their hearts into a project, the results can be nothing short of extraordinary. Now, the music in Space Marine 2 is nothing short of incredible. This is a core part of what makes the game immersive. The soundtrack perfectly blends orchestral intensity with industrial and metal influences, capturing the gritty, unrelenting atmosphere of the Warhammer 40k universe. Every battle, every moment is amplified by the music. It's not just noise, it's designed to pull you deeper into the experience. More than the music, the sound design is also absolutely on point. Not just in terms of quality, but in terms of balance. The game knows when to dial things back. There are times when the music fades, and all you hear is the distant thud of artillery, the wind rustling through a destroyed battlefield, or even your own breath. It makes the world feel alive, or even dead, like you're really in the thick of a massive never-ending war. In a lot of modern games, audio tends to take a bit of a backseat to flashy visuals, where it feels like the aim is just to get the audio to a point of being good enough. But Space Marine 2 proves that the sound is just as critical to the overall experience. The music and sound effects don't just enhance gameplay, they pull you deeper into the story. Every battle feels like you're part of a larger war, and every quiet moment feels like you're preparing for something bigger. This kind of attention to audio is what elevates Space Marine 2 beyond just being a good game. It's an experience that sticks with you long after you finish playing.
What was that? Looks like a neurothorn.
I definitely need to point out that a part of the game's success is the fact that it is uncorrupted by Slaaneish's minions.
Brothers and sisters, rejoice. Heresy!
So, for me, Space Marine 2 stands out as a milestone for modern gaming, offering a refreshing take on immersive storytelling, massive battlefields, and gameplay that captures the essence of the Warhammer 40k universe. In an industry often criticized for overloading games with unnecessary content and diluting beloved franchises, Space Marine 2 excels by staying faithful to the lore and delivering an experience that is both epic in scale and focused on fun. From its rich character development and fast-paced combat to its stunning visuals and immersive audio, the game strikes a perfect balance between depth and accessibility, avoiding the common trap of bloat seen in many modern titles. Its creators at Saber Interactive have crafted a game that not only respects its fan base, but sets a new standard for what players should expect in future games, answering long-standing what-if questions with every turn. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like below. If you want to see more from me, do subscribe. I do hope you guys have a wonderful day ahead, and I will see you in the next one.